Most people on Earth follow the law out of fear of punishment, especially fear of prison. But there's always that small percentage, people who don't see prison as punishment. No, they see it as a puzzle, a game waiting to be solved. For them, the goal is simple: outsmart the system, escape, and taste freedom again. In this video, we're going to dive into some of the most extraordinary prison escapes in history. These are the daring individuals who didn't just dream of freedom, they made it a reality. Let's start with one of the most astonishing escapes from World War II at a prison camp that was supposed to be impossible to break out of: Stalag Luft III. Stalag Luft III, located in Nazi-controlled Poland, was infamous for its harsh conditions. Only military prisoners were sent there, and they were treated mercilessly. The prison was surrounded by tall, barbed wire fences, equipped with microphones buried in the ground to detect even the faintest sounds. If you so much as scratched the dirt with a shovel, the guards would hear it. It was considered escape-proof. But even the most secure prisons have cracks, and the prisoners inside Stalag Luft III saw those cracks. Beneath all the brutality, they found a way to exploit a weakness. Inside one of the prison dormitories was a wood-burning stove, the only thing placed directly on the ground. Everything else was bolted to the walls to prevent tunneling. But that stove? It gave the prisoners a brilliant idea. With nothing but their dining spoons, made of metal back then, they started digging. And this was no small effort. They dug 10 meters down, deep enough to avoid detection from the microphones in the ground, and then began a horizontal tunnel that would eventually lead to freedom. The soil was sandy, easy to dig through, and they spread it across the prison grounds, hiding their tracks. All the prisoners were united in their hatred for the Nazis, so nobody reported the plan. Instead, they encouraged one another, hoping that if someone managed to escape, they'd follow. In 1944, as Germany was losing ground in the war, guards were pulled from the prison to reinforce the crumbling front lines, giving the prisoners more freedom to work. 5 long months of digging finally paid off. They had dug a tunnel that reached beyond the prison walls. 70 prisoners managed to squeeze through that narrow tunnel, one by one, over the course of 5 hours. But eventually, the Germans caught on. 70 had escaped, but only 3 made it to freedom. The German army launched a massive manhunt and recaptured 67 of them. In brutal retaliation, those 67 men were executed by firing squad. 13 Nazi officers who ordered the killings were later tried and executed themselves after the war. But 3 men vanished into the night, never to be found. Their escape remains one of the greatest prison breaks in history. Now let's move to a prison that has become legendary for its supposed inescapability: Alcatraz. Many tried to escape from Alcatraz, but nearly all failed, except one man: Frank Morris. Frank Morris wasn't just any inmate. He was a criminal mastermind with an IQ of 133, placing him in the top 2% of the population. After attempting an escape from Louisiana State Penitentiary, Morris was sent to Alcatraz, known for housing the most dangerous and difficult prisoners. From day one, Morris began planning his escape. His keen eye noticed something peculiar. The air vents in each cell led to the roof. His plan: to cut through the vent and reach the prison roof. But first, he needed a tool, and he found it in the most unexpected place: a vacuum cleaner. Morris dismantled the prison's vacuum cleaner and extracted a motor part that worked like a drill. Slowly and quietly, he and 3 other prisoners began cutting through their cell vents. They covered their progress by hanging pictures over the vents whenever the guards came by, and each night they stole raincoats, 60 of them in total. Once the vents were cut through, they tied the raincoats together to create a makeshift raft, hoping it would keep them afloat in the icy waters surrounding Alcatraz. The night came. Morris and his companions made it to the roof, climbed down the prison walls, and reached the water's edge. One prisoner backed out at the last minute, but Morris and 2 others jumped into the water with their raft. That was the last anyone saw of them. No bodies, no clothing, no raft was ever recovered. Some experts claim they were eaten by sharks, but without any evidence, many believe they made it to safety, pulling off the only successful escape from Alcatraz. Whether it was a daring escape under Nazi control or an ingenious plan from Alcatraz, these stories show that even the most secure prisons can't contain everyone. The desire for freedom will always lead some to take unimaginable risks. Which escape was the most impressive to you? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more incredible stories of daring escapes and true crime.